rebuilding. A catastrophic failure, a new start. Physically, mentally, our careers, our businesses. Step back, first step, next step. The driver in me just wants to get it done tomorrow. We'll do this, do that, let's move this, where are we at with this? You build some confidence, build some self-esteem, start to feel better about yourself. The Silverback Blueprint Podcast, a show for men over 40. We focus on getting stronger, staying motivated, building discipline, creating a community, and becoming truly happy. Hey guys, and welcome back to episode 174 of the Silverback Blueprint Podcast. Do that one thing today. Currently, it's third week of January. This is coming out end of February. So we're right in the middle of a 6-week challenge at Hostile. And when I was sitting down with the group last night after weigh-ins, we were talking about, their first week. Most of them did really well. A couple didn't do so well. And that's basically the way it goes overall. When we start, some people are jump on it. Some people have resistance. And that's, they're there for a reason, and they're going to learn those skills and get better at it. But one thing I was talking about, sort of when I wrap up the session, is I open questions. What are you struggling with? What's going on? What's happening? So you hear different things. After doing these many, many times myself and also with the clients, I expect a lot of the same answers each time and stuff, because it's, common that, certain things that we run into. And when we're trying to eat better, lose weight, plan food, exercise, we're going to run into similar situations all the time. So we go through that. And then every week I like to give them a challenge. A physical challenge and a mental or mindset challenge. So what I was talking about last night was doing that one thing. What's the one thing they could do immediately that would have a big effect on their week coming up? And for everyone's going to be a little bit different. But for all of us, there's something that we know we can do. The low-hanging fruit. What's the obvious problem that's right in front of us that if we attack right now, we address right now, we solve right now, will make a difference immediately. And I think if we sat there and did that more often, if we sat there and just calmed down and sort of took the lay of the land and what's going on right now. Are things great at home? No? Okay. Well, what can I work on there? Are things great at work? No? Okay. What can I work on there? Are things great in business? Whatever the area is. We all have 4 or 5 areas in our life, right? We have our personal, we have our business, we have our jobs, we have our hobbies, whatever it is. Sit down, take a moment, and think about what's the one thing you can do now? What's the one thing you can address, change, implement, whatever it is, that would have the biggest change right away? A lot of times it's very simple. Sometimes it's simple as, if I start going to bed at 11 o'clock at night and getting up earlier, I know I would sleep better, I would have more energy, and I would get more done. Then do that. It's right in front of you. Maybe relationship-wise, you've been with your spouse or partner for a long time. Maybe it's, the one thing I could do right now is just, implement a date night this Friday. Make it happen. If it's training, maybe it's, hey, listen, you know what? I'm not using a journal. I don't have a program. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a journal. I'm going to figure out a program. I'm either going to hire a coach. I'm going to buy a program online, something, and start following. Because I know that I'm not following anything, and I know I'm sort of half-assing it. I'm kind of going and I'm not going. Sometimes it's a phone call you need to make. Sometimes it's a credit card you need to cut up. Sometimes it's just a conversation you need to have with someone because it's just sitting in the background and it's bugging you and it's bugging you and it's taking your focus off things that need to get done. So last night, because we were talking about the weight loss and the transformation, and we went around, there was about 14 people there, I heard everything from, hey, I need to buy a scale. I'm kind of, I kind of eyeball it, but I'm not sure what 4 ounces of steak looks like or 6 ounces of chicken looks like. So I know I need to buy a scale because that's the one thing I'm struggling on. That was a great response. And you could tell it was very genuine because just the way they said it. Another person said, I really need to figure out what carb I like eating out of the carb choices that we have. I'm like, perfect. One person said, I really should use the journal that everyone has here because when I work these groups, right, one of the must-haves is you must have a journal. You must come to any of our meetings with your journal. And in your journal, if you're having trouble with your food, show me your food plan. Show me what you're eating. And if you can't show me, I can't help you. I'm not going to sit there and ask 100 questions and try to guess it and look at it in the air. Write down what you're doing. Let me see what's happening. And then I can write some notes. I can make some suggestions. I can get the information right away and I can help. It's in their best interest to do that because then I can help them faster and more and deeply. I have one guy who doesn't want to do it. I'm like, that's all right. I can't help you. I said, bring a journal. I guarantee he's going to bring a journal next week. One of the guys was like, I have my kids in hockey and, I have trouble getting the food and stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, so have you been doing the food prep? He's like, well, no. I said, well, it goes to food prep. Once you prep your food, pack 2 meals, bring the meals with you. It's that simple. It's simple because we know that's the solution. It's simple because, we already do it. But for someone who's resisting the change, who doesn't want to do the change, or change isn't easy, it seems like a huge thing. His one thing was like food prep. And he came up with it because he knows. And especially by hearing everyone else and what they're going through and seeing the results. We had people drop in 1 week 10 pounds, 4 pounds, 3 pounds, 6 pounds. Some people just stayed the same. I guarantee you, I told everyone that once we did all the weigh-ins, we sat down. I said, I'm not even going to get into who lost and who gained. I'll tell you right now, if you lost, you're doing the right things. If you didn't change weight or you didn't lose, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. It's that simple. There's no way around it. One guy goes, there's no way I can, I forgot. One guy, I have him on 1,800 calories. And he's like, I'm barely hitting 1,000. I go, if you're not hitting 1,000, I guarantee we're going to see a good weight loss this week because that's really low. He gained 2 pounds. I'm like, dude, you're eating more than 1,000 calories. You're eating more than 2,000 calories. So we sat down, we looked at this thing, added some things up, showed him how to add things up. He's like, oh my God, what a difference. I go, yep. And I said, that's all right. That's part of the learning curve. But what's the one thing that you can do today that'll make a huge difference? Sometimes it's just that one thing that just breaks you through to the next level. And I'll tell you, a lot of times it's the kind of thing that if something keeps coming back to you, this one problem keeps coming back to you, and you keep having to face it. You're always late on your credit card payment. You're always late on your credit card payment. You're always getting a warning. You're always behind. Well, you know what, guys? That's a big fucking sign that that's the first thing you should deal with. So take that stress off. Make your payment early. Stop using that credit card. Right? Find a way to make an extra $200 a month and put that on your credit card. But it really is that simple. And then all of a sudden, you know what happens? The credit card company stops calling. You started getting ahead on the payments. And in no time, you're ahead of the game again. I was talking to one guy I know, and he's always got the newest book. He's always buying the newest book. He's always got, Kurt, have you seen this book? Have you seen that book? And, self-help, motivation, all the stuff that I'm into. So the other day I was talking to him. He's telling me about this new book he got over the holidays. And I just looked at him. I said, hey, man, listen, how do you find time to read all these books? He goes, well, I go, have you read any of them? He goes, well, I've got a couple started. I go, dude, I said, you really want to get the best from all these books? He goes, yeah. I said, stop fucking buying books and read every one that you have first. And I said, in fact, if I was you, I would make a rule. We're going back to treating ourselves like a 5-year-old again. You cannot buy another book until you've read 2 of the books you already have. He's like, oh, that's a really good idea. I go, yeah, I know it's a good idea. And I get it. I have a dozen books I have to read. But I don't sit there and get past that point where I'm sitting there wondering why, I have all these books. I know why. Maybe someone recommends, I want to read it, but I got to get through it. I have to be disciplined to make sure I spend time every day reading. But the low-hanging fruit, guys, what's the one thing you can do today? If you're not getting along with your kid, right? I got 2 teenagers. We're blessed. They're really good kids. But we have conversations with them all the time, the tough ones and the good conversations. Maybe that's something you need to do. Maybe you need to have a conversation with your son or daughter. Just, be honest. Things are weird. What's going on? That's right in front of you. That can be done right away. But you know what it takes, guys? It takes time for us to sit down and be honest with ourselves. Time to sit down and be quiet and think about what's the one thing I can do? What's the issue that I keep running into? You own a business, you got a problem with the staff and you've been avoiding it? Fucking stop that. Call that staff into your office and sit down and say, listen, we need to have a conversation. You'd be amazed how much a conversation solves things. And at the end of that conversation, if it isn't solved, well, then you know what you have to do. I've had to do that a few times, many times over the years, in fact. Just have that conversation. What's going on? Here's something I'm not happy about. This is bugging me, and I need to talk to you about it because it's something that you're doing that is not working the way it should, or something you're not doing. Find out what's going on with them. Maybe they got an issue. Maybe they have a reason. Maybe there's something going on. Maybe there's something you can do to help them do what they have to do. And sometimes it's just them that just needs to get called on their shit. But at the end of the day, do that one thing. And I guarantee if you're listening to it right now, by now, you already know that one thing you have to do. So go out there and do it. Do it within the next 24 hours. And let's see what happens. We're going to keep this short and sweet today, guys. Listen, head on over to iTunes. Leave us a 5-star review. That should be the first thing you do today. Head over to iTunes. Give us a 5-star rating. Head on over to hostilegear.com. Use the code word Silverback to get your Do That One Thing Today hoodie. And as always, guys, work hard, motherfuckers. And I'll talk to you guys later.